So it all boils down to this, folks, and we've got some cracking semi-finals in the Champions League, second legs just around the corner with it all to play for. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today, it's all about the Champions League. It's all about those semi-finals, and it is all about those second legs. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you in just a second. If you knew where you've been, smash your subscribe and your subscribe for Champions League, Blackburn Rovers, World Football. We're going to all here under one rooski. That's right. Arsenal got a little work to do, but meanwhile, over in Italy, we're going to have an absolute cracker, aren't we? What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you in just a second. Of course, if you knew where you've been, hit the old subscribe and a big shout out to the members and the patrons. You know who you are. What we're going to do now is revisit those first legs, my predictions, and then, of course, plow on forward to those illustrious second legs to see who makes it to the Champions League final. So sit tight, hold on. Let's do this then, shall we? Recapping those semi-final first legs, and they should be on the screen right about now. Well, not now. You're going to see me now, but then you're going to see the predictions, and they're coming on there. Here we go. Starting with the old London to Paris match, Arsenal against PSG. 2-1 was my score. I thought Arsenal might take it. They looked decent in spurts in that game, but PSG with the early goal put them right on the back burner there. So one goal so far means it's all to play for. It means a kitchen sink job, and maybe, just maybe, Arsenal will burst on the scene in the second leg and make it a right old game. We'll see. But what a game we had in the first leg in Barcelona. Goodness gracious me. I went with a 3-0 win. I thought it'd be job done. Nice and easy peasy for Barcelona. But no, they came and they delivered an absolute cracker. Not only was it a cracking game, cracking scoreline, but we saw some banging goals. Goodness gracious. A right old thriller. And it's only half time in that game. What a game that is. But it's actually evenly poised as well to see who goes through to those to the actual final. So let's get into those second legs then, shall we? And of course we flip locations. So let's flip locations, and of course now we go to PSG Paris, the venue, Parc des Princes, that is right. Of course hosting an Arsenal side who are trying to find the bit of magic to get themselves into a Champions League final. Standing in the way is Luis Enrique and his PSG side, who did finish quite low in the old league structure of the Champions League, finishing all the way down to 15th, with just 13 points. So coming into this on 58% form for them at the moment. Just one win in the last three matches. That one win was the last game up against Arsenal, who of course did finish third in the league phase, 19 points on the board for them. But of course, back-to-back games now in all competitions without a win. They have played PSG 6 times in the past. They've won 3 of them. They have lost 1 of them, and there's been 2 draws. So the numbers are there in favour for Arsenal to turn the sucker around. Of course, we'll elaborate on that in just a second. In fact, let's go into that right here and now. That one win, of course, for our PSG was the last game. It was a 1-0 win. They've scored just 6 goals of PSG against Arsenal in the course of those 6 games. That's 1 goal a game on average. Meanwhile, turn it around, Arsenal have got a 5-1 win on the record against PSG. They've scored 12 goals against them in those 6 matches. 2 goals a game on average. But that 5-1 win, scrapped that off the paper there, because that was a dead rubber. It was a Mickey Mouse game way back in July 2018. Didn't really count. Last time they were at PSG when it mattered, there's not been that many times that it's mattered. It ended up being a 1-1 draw way back in September 2016 in the Champions League group phases. They have played previously in the Champions League twice this season already. Arsenal winning one of them. It was in London. They did lose their second one, which was just the other day. So it's on the line. It's very evenly poised. It could easily be over within the first 45 minutes. But if Arsenal were to get their noses in front, we could have an actual cracking back end to this game to see who goes through to that final. Anyway, PSG will take on Strasbourg this weekend. They're expected to lose that game. Strasbourg on a good bit of form. Meanwhile, Arsenal taking on Bournemouth, where they're expected to win that game. So they're good. So it could be some good fuel for the fire for this game. So this game is the second one of the week. And of course, the bookies have it in favour of PSG to win the tie. This first leg, the second leg. And then we'll see what that means to the bigger picture. So what do I think on this one? Again, it is a tight game. I thought Arsenal were good in spurts. They weren't Real Madrid good. You know what I mean? Those games, they were phenomenal. I think PSG stunned them with that early goal, and Arsenal really couldn't get back into it, and it was showing. So maybe if roles are reversed and Arsenal can get a nice early break, it's not out of the question. It's definitely not out of the question, but I think it is a monstrously big mountain for them to climb. I'm going to go with, unfortunately, a 2-1 win for PSG on the night. And again, if you're quick and you're smart, just like me, you'll know what that means. Let's get to the next one then, shall we? It's Internazionale hosting Barcelona, the Giuseppe Meazza. Again, same day, 6th of the 5th. That's the 6th of May to you and I. And it is the first game of the week. That's the Tuesday. Inter finishing in 4th, respectively, in those Super League, in the Champions League, should we say, league phase. 19 points on the board. They're coming into this, though, winless in 5. Pretty grim form for them. And domestically, they've fallen off the pace a little bit at the top of the table, which could ultimately lead to a change of title owner over in Italy. Meanwhile, Barcelona looking good right now. They're second in the table, 19 points. So they're second in this table way back when, finishing in 19 points, unbeaten in the last 4 matches. They have played Inter 14 times since 2003. They've won 7 of them. Inter have won 2 of them. There's been 5 draws between the two sides. Inter have a 3-1 win on their record. They've got 13 goals scored against them, picking up 0.93 goals a game on average. Barcelona, though, have a 5-0 win on their record. They've scored 25 goals in those 14 matches, 1.79 goals a game. Now, the last time they played in Italy, and if it was to fall at the same scoreline, it was a 1-0 win way back in October 2022. That 1-0 win, if it was to happen this time around, would be enough for Inter for them to go through. In fact, the last two of the last 3 matches in Italy have ended up as Inter without losing. But Barcelona do have a win on the record against Inter in Italy way back in December 2019. Barcelona, though, on the back of that 3-3 draw, they'll be taking on Valladolid this weekend. They're expected to win that game. Inter taking on Barcelona. They're expected to win that game. And, of course, they're not. They're both of those 2 matches, the match in Italy, Serie A, as well as the Champions League, both at home. No travelling, no disruption, just full focus and full preparation for this one. The bookies give it to Barcelona. They have got the upper hand on this one. Inter, not so much. What are your thoughts? Let them down below. Here I go with mine for this leg only. Of course, it's all even, Steven. So if anyone wins it, they're going to go through. And I'm going to go with a cheeky 2-1 win for Barcelona. That's right, to set up an absolute heavyweight final. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this, guys. I'm talking about PSG will go through 3-1 on aggregate. And they'll be joined by Barcelona 5-4 on aggregate to set up a Barcelona PSG final in the 2025 Champions League final. That's my thoughts. What do you guys, do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Of course you guys think. But do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down below as we look forward to this final. And of course, we'll do a Football Manager 2024 simulation of said Champions League final 100 times. And of course, get the results out to you to see what the most likely outcome from the supercomputer thinks for this year's Champions League final. That, of course, coming on the channel very, very soon. But until then, subscribe, smash a like. We're out of here.